about a fun little sea creature. Does anyone know what a hermit crab is? What's a hermit crab, Josephine? What does it live in? What's on its back? A shell. Very good. All right, and this book is called A Home for a Hermit Crab. All right, and be listening for the names of the months of the year, okay? Because it goes through every month, so you got to listen so you can tell me what's next, okay? Yes, Asher.
Chris swims.
Yeah.
And underwater.
Yeah. We're going to listen and see what happens. Time to move, said Hermit Crab one day in January. I've grown too big for this little shell. He had felt safe and snug in his shell, but now it was too snug. Hermit Crab stepped out of the shell and onto the floor of the ocean. But it was frightening out in the open sea without a shell to hide in. What if a big fish comes along and attacks me, he thought. I must find a new house soon.
What will happen?
February, that's right. That's what's going to be next. Early in February, Hermit Crab found just the house he was looking for. It was a big shell and very strong. He moved right in, wiggling and waggling along about inside of it to see how it felt. It felt just right. But it looked so plain, thought Hermit Crab.
March.
Is that what's next? In March, Hermit Crab met some sea anemones. Can you guys say that with me? Sea anemones. Anemones. Those are these things right here that are all wiggly and got weird plants on them. All right. And they swayed gently back and forth in the water. How beautiful you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to come and live on my house? It's so plain and it needs you. I'll come, whispered a small sea anemone. Gently, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell.
April. My brother's birthday is in April. Mine is on 18th.
In April, Hermit Crab passed a flock of starfish moving slowly along the sea floor. How handsome you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to decorate my house? I would, signaled a little sea star. Carefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and put it on his house.
On his shell.
How many sea creatures do you think he's going to fit on there?
One.
Do you have any guesses?
2.
2? You think 2?
4.
5.
8.
See, what month is next? We just had April. What's next?
May.
May. Very good. Shh, listen. In May, Hermit Crab discovered some coral. They were hard and didn't move. How pretty you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to help me make my house beautiful?
June.
In June, Hermit Crab came to a group of snails crawling over a rock on the ocean floor. They grazed as they went, picking up algae and bits of debris and leaving a neat path behind them. How tidy and hard-working you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to come and help clean my house? I would, offered one of the snails. Happily, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. How would you guys like to have someone that just cleans your room for you all the time? Just follows around and picks up after you? You didn't have to do it? Yeah.
A lot of people would.
All right. In July, Hermit Crab came upon several sea urchins. They had sharp, prickly needles. How fierce you look, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to protect my house? I would, answered one of the sea urchins. Carefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it near his shell. So now he has something that's cleaning his house and something that's protecting.
August.
Right. In August, Hermit Crab and his friends wandered into a forest of seaweed. It's so dark here, thought Hermit Crab. How dim it is, murmured the sea anemone. How gloomy it is, whispered the starfish. How murky it is, complained the coral. I can't see, said the snail. It's like nighttime, cried the sea urchin.
I know.
Dark it is.
Where is the sea urchin? I don't see him. Oh, he's at the bottom. Protected.
In September, hermit crab spotted a school of lanternfish darting through the dark water. How bright you are, said hermit crab. Would one of you be willing to light up our house? I would, replied one lanternfish, and it swam over near the shell. In October, hermit crab approached a pile of smooth pebbles. How sturdy you are, said hermit crab. Would you mind if I rearranged you? Not at all, answered the pebbles. Hermit crab picked them up one by one with his claw and built a wall around his shell. Now my house is perfect, cheered hermit crab.
And to give me one more.
But in November, hermit crab felt that his shell seemed a bit too small. Little by little over the year, hermit crab had grown. Soon he would have to find another bigger home. But he had come to love his friends, the sea anemone, the starfish, the coral, the sea urchin, the snail, the lanternfish, and even the smooth pebbles. They have been so good to me, thought hermit crab. They are like a family. How can I ever leave them?
You have to put them back. The shark will eat them if you leave them.
In December, a smaller hermit crab passed by. I have outgrown my shell, she said. Would you know of a place for me? I have outgrown my house, too, answered hermit crab. I must move on. You are welcome to live here, but you must promise to be good to my friends. I promise, said the little crab. The following January, hermit crab stepped out and the little crab moved in. Couldn't stay in that little shell forever, said hermit crab as he waved goodbye. The ocean floor looked wider than he had remembered, but hermit crab wasn't afraid. Soon he spied the perfect house, a big empty shell. It looked a little plain, but...
And the little fish.
Sponges, he thought, barnacles, clownfish, sand dollars, electric eels. Oh, there are so many possibilities. I can't wait to get started.
There's so many animals that can protect him.
You're right.
You know,
So, even though he didn't have a home at the beginning, what did he have at the end? Let's count how many animals he had at the end. He had the sea anemone, 1. He had the snail, the starfish, the coral, the pebbles, and the sea urchin, and the lanternfish. So that's 7. Right there. Yep, he had 7 at the end. He started out with none.
Is it?
All right?
Yeah.
All right, now what we're going to do,
What do you do with that?
we're going to do a little activity, okay? So you got to listen so you know what to do. All right, so on the front of this page, there are 3 hermit crabs, all right, and they have empty shells. This one is for the beginning of the book, this is for the middle, and this is for the end. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your crayons and your pencils, and I want you to decorate what the shells look like at the beginning, what it looked like in the middle, and what it looked like at the end. So you're going to add all sorts of sea creatures that he found, remember? Okay. And then on the back, there's one that's just one big hermit crab, and he's got a huge shell to decorate. And it says, if I were a hermit crab, I would decorate my shell like this. So you get to decorate your own shell on the back, however you want. You can put stripes, polka dots, all kinds of animals. Okay, but first I want you to do this side, and then you can flip it over. Okay? Does that make sense?
Can we do whatever we want on that page?
This page you have to follow what the story did. So remember, for example, how many animals did he have at the very beginning of the book? Think? Before he met any of the animals? 0. Right. So this one's probably going to stay empty, right? Right. And then this one will add more, and this one will add all of them. Okay? All right. Go ahead and go get your crayon boxes.